Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your interest in the PGT program in philosophy at the University of Glasgow. We're going to chat amongst ourselves for the next 45 minutes or so about what life is like in the PGT program here. And yeah, let's start with some quick introductions. So my name is Nicolas Cote. I'm the convener of the PGT program in philosophy here at Glasgow, and I am a lecturer in moral and political philosophy. How about we just go around the room real quick, and I'll ask our four current master students to introduce themselves and tell us what program they're in and like what their research interests are. So why don't we start at the top with Freya?
Hi, Freya Latchford. I am psychology and philosophy postgrad. Also did my undergrad at Glasgow for philosophy, and I'm mainly trying to focus on human enhancement and pain and pleasure.
Cool. Next, let's move to Genevieve.
Hi there, my name is Genevieve Cookman. I actually also did my undergrad at Glasgow, but I did it in French and Spanish, so I'm doing the conversion master's course in philosophy. My main interest is moral philosophy, but being quite new to philosophy, I have quite a broad range of general interest, and this is our only year of philosophy that we are just wrapping up.
Super, thanks. Next, let's move to Sloan.
Hi, I'm Sloan. I did not do my undergrad at Glasgow, but I'm a MSc philosophy conversion student, and my main interest is jurisprudence, but like Genevieve, very broad range of interests. So, yeah.
Super. And finally, Lydia.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Lydia, and my Chinese name is Yang Chen. I'm from China, so I'm not an undergraduate here. I was majoring in software engineering, so now I'm in the Master of Philosophy Conversion program now. I'm interested in philosophy language and epistemology, I think.
Super, great. So just a quick point of housekeeping before we get the conversation rolling. So you can ask, if you're currently streaming this event on YouTube, you can ask questions in the chat, and we'll address these as they come up. The questions that we'll be discussing are mostly related to the philosophy program itself. If you have questions about scholarships or things of sort of a more administrative nature, this is sort of not the event for that. But if we get a lot of questions about that, we can sort of direct you to resources. But so let's get started. So again, let's just sort of go around the room a little bit. So as you've heard, we have 3 conversion students with us who did some non-philosophy undergraduate degree. Maybe could you say a few quick words about why you chose to do philosophy as your master's degree, and what you did before? In any order.
I can start. I did sociology as an undergrad, and I decided to do the conversion because my senior year, as an undergraduate student, I took a philosophy of science elective course, fell in love with it, and decided that I just wanted to keep learning philosophy.
Cool. How's it been going so far?
It's stellar. I love it. It's awesome.
I'm happy to go next.
Cool.
Oh, sorry, Freya.
No, go.
Just as a conversion student, yeah, I had a very general interest in philosophy because I did my undergrad in modern languages like French and Spanish and kind of cultural investigations through language. I kind of touched on philosophy from a more general, like less analytical point of view, but I knew a little bit about the program at Glasgow. I wanted to get back into academia anyway, so I kind of went into it just wanting to learn more about the subject itself and thought the conversion course would be a really great introduction, and it has been, so I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Cool, super. Lydia? Do you wanna...
Yeah, as I said before, I was majoring in software engineering, but now we have ChatGPT. So I'm wondering like whether ChatGPT is really doing something or maybe it's just bullshit, who knows? So I want to say it in a different way from different perspective. And now we have Dr. Mike Hicks here, and he wrote a paper about ChatGPT is bullshit with some other professors, like Joe and James. It's a great paper. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, this is actually my 7th year studying philosophy. Because I did 2 years in college, but I moved up to Glasgow for more of the social aspect of it. Was like a lovely place to live, and that's why I stayed for masters, because I absolutely love the department and like the professors that I met, and it's more of the social like community aspect that a lot of other courses don't have. Like I did undergrad psychology, they don't have the same community and like social like togetherness that philosophy does.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's worth talking a little bit more about that. How do you all feel about sort of the philosophy community in Glasgow? So do you feel that first of all, do you feel that there's good contact between the different programs? Do you feel that you get a chance to interact with each other, not just the people in your own program? And could you maybe speak about like the community with the PhD students?
I would say that the community between the programs and then with the PhD students is one of the very best parts of studying philosophy PGT here. It's been really lovely to be treated like as an academic equal by both faculty and the PhD students. It's been really lovely. There's lots of social events, and it's just really great to be able to hang out all together. I love it. I think it's very much one of the best parts.
Yeah, I think there's a much better like support system here, because even currently even doing either just having little coffee dates or, hey, I have a presentation and I know you do this subject for PhD, can you come and help me explain things? It's completely fine. They'll come and help and explain things to you, and like, or just have a chat of, I'm interested in this subject. So it's either at the pub or coffee or lunch, and it's easily like accessible, and or we can like drop into like professors, be like, I have a question, help me please. But yeah, it's just the ease of access to lots of people from different backgrounds and like experience within philosophy.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sorry, Lydia. No, you go ahead. Nope, sorry.
Thank you. My favorite part must be all kinds of seminars here. Like we got senior seminars on Tuesday, and we got PG seminars on Friday, and PPN, and all kinds of activities. So you can really engage with all kinds of activities and different levels of people, including like professors, PhDs, masters, and honor students maybe. So you can ask questions to them, and they'll answer you carefully. And yeah, that's how you can engage with philosophical talks. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I was just going to say that I completely agree. I knew that Glasgow itself was a very social university because there's a lot of communities for extracurriculars and things, but I've never seen a department that's so encouraging of students to interact between departments and between disciplines as well. And because philosophy is such a discussion-based subject in itself, it's really interesting to see different branches of philosophy discussed by people who have done a lot more research than you know, especially being a conversion student. It's really opened my eyes to the different things that we can study and look into. And yeah, it's been really great.
Cool, super. So I see that we do have a few questions now in the chat. One question is just what courses will be offered in 2026 for the conversion course? Well, that sort of depends. That sort of hasn't been entirely. Actually, never mind. I think actually I may be able to say a few words about that, but actually I'll answer the second question first. Can I niche down to bioethics for your MSc philosophy program? You can certainly you could write your whole dissertation on bioethics if that's what you wanted to. Also, you're going to have an ethics component to the modules that you take. And you will have to come up with your own research topics for some of those essays. So bioethics is absolutely, I think you can drill down to as being sort of the main thing that you want to work on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, because I'm doing it on
Mhm.
human enhanced bioethics, that kind of range. That's what I'm doing for my dissertation. So, yeah.
Cool, yeah. And now, as for the teaching plan, so this isn't, I think, entirely official yet, but we're going to have, so next year we're going to have a couple courses in philosophy of language. So for specifically for the MSc program, some of these courses will be courses in common with our honors program. And so we're going to have courses on philosophy of language, the history of moral philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology, pain and pleasure, various topics in political philosophy, notably liberalism. And we're going to be piloting some new courses, including a new course on formal methods in philosophy, which is going to cover sort of topics in philosophical logic, the use of probability reasoning in philosophy. But if you have, more questions about the specifics, that will be for more specific inquiries, you can visit the admissions inquiry webpage. All right. I think that covers it for the questions so far. So maybe I'll just, before we move on to maybe the next topic, maybe I'll just ask you, what's been your favorite course so far?
I think my favorite has been liberalism with Ben Colburn. So that's like a political philosophy subject. I truly did not think I would enjoy it as much as I did. I have a healthy interest in politics, but I didn't really fully understand how much philosophy goes into the decisions and hypothetical reasoning around the framework of liberal states. And it was so interesting. I ended up writing my essay on multiculturalism and minority group rights. And it really opened my eyes just to how much consideration has to go into, the autonomous agent and how that relates to our ability to allow people to do what they want. And I could talk about it for ages, but I really, really enjoyed that course. And Ben Colburn, who lectures here, is incredible. I think he's an incredible lecturer.
I would say my favorite was, by the end of the course, philosophy of law. At the beginning, it was so difficult that I thought, oh, I don't like this. But as Nico mentioned earlier, you do get to pick your research topics for one of the assignments that you do for each course. And I had such an amazing time writing for that course. I wrote about punishment and I absolutely loved it. It was one of those things where you realize that these sort of like everyday common notions that we have are quite difficult to justify when you really sit down and try to do it, which is one of the most wonderful parts of doing philosophy, is really in countenancing these things that we take for granted. So I loved that class. And Stefan Leuenberger, who is the lecturer, Genevieve was in that course as well, is just really awesome. So I loved having him and I loved that course.
Cool.
Well, my favorite one must be philosophy of science with Mike Hicks. And every time he just told us a story, maybe a simple story, maybe a story from textbook, but in the end, you know how the philosophical thesis comes out naturally. And he also talks about some very interesting topics like feminist philosophy, like how your value actually affect your research in science. That is interesting, and I think this can be used in practical scientific researches.
Super. And let's hear from Freya, and then we have a few questions in the chat that I want to address. So
my favorite this year is probably Pain and Pleasure with David Bain, with sometimes Jennifer Corns adds into that as well, because she focuses on suffering. David Bain focuses on pain and pleasure, and it's all around trying to determine some of the notions we take for granted, like what is pain, what is unpleasantness, what is suffering, that we think, oh, well, it's just this, and then realize when you try and explain it, no it's not. It never ends up being the thing that you're trying to explain. It always it starts like weighing on you of like, okay, this is now a like puzzle piece, and that kind of journey to figure out where does this all go is quite.
Yeah, I mean, that is sort of the experience of philosophy. You think that you understand a thing, then turns out, no, you don't understand what you're talking about. And like by the end of the course, well, I still don't know what I'm talking about, but at least now I understand why I don't understand what I was talking about. So there are a couple questions in the chat that we should talk about. So can I niche down to AI ethics or philosophy of AI? Is there any faculty specializing in that? Yes. As Lydia explained earlier, we do actually have several colleagues who are at the cutting edge of research on the ethics of AI, and in particular the ethics of large language models. So my colleagues Joe Slater and Michael Hicks both have a co-authored paper on this, which has had over 1 million views. It's a very, as I say, it's cutting edge. So these are both colleagues who would be perfectly capable of supervising a dissertation on this topic. And there are several courses for which you could, in choosing your own research topic, you could choose to make it on philosophy of AI. You could either do it for an ethics component. You could potentially do it for an epistemology component. You could potentially do it for philosophy of language component. So that's possible. That's totally possible. Are there any postgraduate students on the program who are retired? So currently, I don't know. Maybe maybe the students know better than I do.
There is a mature student society that the university does have. That's for all postgrad, and there are people that are either still working or I think maybe some of them are still retired as like alumni. But we have had people in our classes that have been retired or like older students.
Yeah, we certainly in the past we have had.
Yeah, I was going to say you do tend to get older students. Yeah. And then I know I did this. I think a couple other people just took a year off from your career. I taught secondary school, so I just took the year off and then I'll go back. So, but retired, I'm not sure. Not at the MSc level, but certainly in those cross-listed senior honors classes, you will get retired people. I think Dennis is retired.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. That is a complete answer. Actually, this is another question. Actually, I don't know the answer to this question. Probably you know it. When do you register for your courses? Do you register before or after you arrive on campus?
It's like
Both,
before you have to, before you have to start like the classes.
Yes,
and I think we have 2 weeks to choose if we want to change things.
Yeah.
So
you can do it before you got here, and even if you got here and you find out you haven't done that thing and maybe you think you're doomed, no, you're not. You can just email the faculty and they'll help you out.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, we have this.
They're really helpful with that, but
yeah.
Do it as early as possible, I will say, because they fill up, and that's like one of my biggest things I wish I'd done is when it opens, do it right then and there, or you're gonna have to like as soon as it opens, go register because you can change it.
Okay. Next question: will I have the chance to publish journals in top-tier journals during my one-year MSc program? I mean, that's quite unlikely. Especially
we have had someone this year that's been published.
Really? Well, that's remarkable. Yeah. That is extraordinarily rare.
And there's opportunity for like stuff like conferences that one of our classmates has been like abroad to like show at conferences and stuff like that. And she's got at least one paper somewhere published.
That's extraordinary, and it's remarkably rare. But yeah, so what I was about to say is you will certainly get opportunities to take part in conferences and so forth and do the kind of work that prepares you for publishing peer-reviewed work. Evidently, it is possible. Evidently, it is possible that you might publish in a journal work that you produced during your master's year. It's somewhat unusual. I mean, so normally, if you're interested in publishing research in top-tier journals, the most natural path for that would be once you finish your master's, you do your PhD. And at some point during your PhD, you'll have sort of amassed enough sort of depth of knowledge and sort of experience in the field that then you'll be in a position to publish in top journals. My first publication was sort of halfway through my PhD. So, I mean, It's possible. You'll certainly get lots of training that helps you get to the point where you can produce publishable research. I wouldn't come into the program with the expectation that by the end of the year, you will be publishing in top-tier journals. But I mean, yeah.
Just adding to that, I will say who Freya is talking about, this is her second master's degree. So it can be done, but it's a challenge. Yeah, I would say.
Okay. Actually, question for the students. What are your plans after you finish the course? What kind of career support was available to you?
I think when we first started the course, there was a lot of information given to us about how philosophy is a very, like we say, broad topic. So it can lend itself to like a number of different career paths. I have not decided on anything in particular yet. I was working in events for like years before doing this degree, so I don't want to go back into events. But I think I would do something like, I really am interested in looking into civil service positions like policy advising or the charity sector as well. Obviously, a lot of philosophy revolves around ethics and essentially looking at different problems from multiple angles and being able to assist in ways like that. So there's a lot of career paths you can go down. I think I've actually heard from a lot of people as well on our course, especially conversion course, who are interested in attending law courses post this course essentially, because they've really taken on an interest in law and how philosophy relates to that. And I know that a lot of the law requirements for courses, they do really value philosophy students because there is so much valuable knowledge there. So that's another, career path.
Yeah,
just adding on to, especially true if you're an American looking at a law school, that's a really great option. I think for me, I was a teacher. I'll probably keep teaching, and then a lot of people consider or are going to go on to a PhD, which the conversion course will prepare you for.
Yeah, I would say I'm currently a researcher at a software development company. So that has helped because it's like you learn how to like talk to people, how to configure your thoughts and like put them in a clear, concise package for like clients. And there's a lot of like transferable skills you get from this. So it helped me get my current job. So and you can go into lots of different areas doing that. It doesn't have to be in one specific one.
Yeah, I would say like right now I'm thinking about applying for a PhD, and professors here really support us. Like they are willing to supervise my writing sample, and we got several sessions about how to apply for a PhD, maybe in the UK, maybe in the USA, and we got research method courses, just taught us about job market and how to prepare for the job documents, like your CV, like your cover paper, your cover letter, something like this. So I would say if you want to be a real academia in this field, this program will also help you out. Nico, you're mute.
Sorry. There you go. Yes. No. I thought that. Yeah. But thanks for your answers. Yeah. Two more questions, and then we can maybe move on to other topics. So, I don't have a formal background in philosophy. For MSc conversion students, I guess this is mostly for you, Lydia, Sloan, and Genevieve. Do you suggest doing any prior preparation before your course starts?
Yes. Yes. I think one of the most challenging parts of the conversion course was starting. Writing for philosophy is wildly different than any other subject. Like Genevieve studied languages, I studied sociology. Lydia, I believe you said software engineering, is that right? So writing for philosophy is wildly different, and having some preparation for just how to write would have made all the difference. So I think there's like a Jim Pryor's website, Pryor, that's super, super helpful. And I wish I'd had that. And just any basic text and something like maybe like epistemology or logic would have been great. So just like this is that range of books, like this is epistemology, this is philosophy of mind. Those are super accessible, not too hard to read, and really helpful. But yeah, just something to teach you how to write for philosophy would have been really, really great, because that was super challenging.
Yeah, I would say having to read philosophy as well, even like certain terms that you use like every day in English, there's different ways of using them in philosophy that you can have to pick out of texts when you're reading them. I don't know if it's the case, but I think if you look up University of Glasgow Library reading lists, there is just a portal that you don't need a login for, and you can go to reading lists of prior courses. It's easy to get overwhelmed with philosophy and feel like you need to read everything. So obviously before coming to the course, you really don't need to know every single like element of philosophy and things like that. But just even picking up texts that you can try and read over and take notes on and understand how to pick out the most relevant parts of those pieces. But philosophy can just be a very dense subject. So I would say absolutely do prior reading and focus on things that you can get to grips with, but just try not to get overwhelmed, because the lecturers at Glasgow are very, very helpful and they're there to support you. So if you can't get through like a piece of text, then just see if you can find some kind of support when you're actually at uni.
Yeah, I would say like, of course, it will help if you do some preparation, like do some reading, but it is difficult to find some clue to how, like where to start. So in that case, I would suggest some websites like Phil Papers and maybe like Cyclopedia. Sorry, maybe I'm not pronouncing it well. Like Cyclopedia of Stanford and this kind of thing. You can go to this website and search the topics you like to read, and maybe they'll give you some basic knowledge, background knowledge, and some papers you want to read. You can choose it. So it's always good to keep reading and trying.
Yeah, Stanford Encyclopedia is definitely, I forgot about that. That's a really good one. But I will also say none of us did this and we were fine.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I was about to say, you're going to scare them off. Like
none of us did that. We figured it out.
You do all this
Yeah.
reading, and actually turns out none of you did the reading, and you're all fine. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, also, you recommend that they read logic? Boy, that's some hardcore preparation you're asking them to do there, Sloan.
It was hard to say that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, so don't feel the need to like do a pre-masters before you join the master's program by like catching up on all the reading you've missed. You should read some philosophy if you're interested in philosophy. I think is probably the advice I would give. It would be probably useful for you, like if you're really interested in like philosophy of AI, to maybe read what some people at the department have written on this. That could be sort of give you a good clue if you're interested in the subject or not.
Yeah, there's just generic like fun philosophy books, like Philosophy for Busy People, or Philosophy as a Bumper Sticker, which just goes through different things and like shrinks them down to very easy, like one chapter per idea kind of thing for an entry level instead of logic.
Okay, I don't appreciate logic hate. I'm just saying it was hard, and it would have been nice to have like a tiny bit of background. But also, philosophy with no gaps is the episodes are really short, and it hits like the basics, and that was really great too. So, yeah.
I'm not saying studying logic is some bad advice. I wish I had done more math before I did my PhD program, but like, worst comes to worst, you can pick all that up as you go along. It really isn't necessary.
True, and we did.
Right.
We did.
One final question. I guess once again, this will be for you. How many hours of class and seminar in a week on average? And like maybe like, I don't know.
It differs between conversion and mine. So probably, so for mine is probably between like 4 to 6 hours a week. And mostly everything is independent study or like setting up study groups or something, but like actually mandatory in person is very limited. It's more of the support is there when and whenever you need it, and then you have set up like regular seminars. I think conversion is different because they have weekly classes.
Yeah, for us, it's 2 lectures per week per course module if you're doing full time. So that's 4 hours of course module, like optional course module lectures that you're doing per week. And then we have an intro class each week as well. That's a 2-hour long seminar. And then we have kind of optional courses in the afternoon in terms of research methods that we share with Freya's course. But even then, like classes themselves is like such a small part of the course. There's a lot of reading to do. So it's essentially, it's like a full-time job in a way. The kind of number of hours you should be spending on reading and prepping for your next courses is not just within the class itself. So you're wanting to take those hours to kind of go into the actual stuff that you've already read, if that makes sense. So it's not just the course itself being taught. You have to make sure that you're doing a few hours of reading a week as well.
Yeah, so actual face-to-face time, I'd say about 9 hours, but that's not with all the reading, which takes significantly more time than that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is Friday is the most hectic day, right? Like we go compulsory course in the morning from 9 a.m. on Friday. Can you imagine it on Friday? Yes, and in the afternoon we got seminars. But after that you can go to pubs and you can really enjoy your weekend because you already have a very busy and productive Friday. So I think that's a good thing.
Yes, the Friday pub is an important tradition in Glasgow, but in particular in philosophy. Great. All right. So I think that covers the questions that have come up so far. Maybe now it would be a good time to invite some of your reflections on, I guess, broad issues around like sort of future plans, employment, and like school and other topics. So I guess one question that I'd like maybe you all to speak to is something like, let's see. Yes, I mean, so why? Yeah. So here's a good one. So what are sort of the biggest? What are some of the more surprising what are some of the skills that you've developed through the program? Like, what did you think that you were going to, like, what are the skills that you thought that you were going to acquire? Were there any surprises? Were your expectations met?
You learn how to argue with people very precisely, like on the spot. So you just win any debate, really.
Oh.
So that's like a super skill that you.
I've been surprised by how convincing arguments for things that I am just so, it feels like naturally against, how effective those arguments can be. I wouldn't say that a lot of what I've read has changed my mind significantly on things that I do believe, but just the way that someone can put together an argument in a very simple way and be able to essentially put forward something that you would never have thought about from that angle, I think is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm winning too many extra arguments, but it does definitely like rewire how you think about stuff, where it's even outside of like the reading that you're doing or the papers that you're writing, is you do when presented with a problem. I won't speak for everyone, but I know for me, it has trained me to sort of break complicated things down into simpler parts and then go one by one. I will say maybe differently from Genevieve. My mind has definitely been changed about a lot of stuff studying philosophy. I stopped eating meat after studying ethics. Like, I would say that a lot of stuff has changed, and I think for the better. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think at least you can live a wonderful life here. Like you can meet different people, different philosophers with different personalities, and you can go to pubs and you can go hiking and with them, you can talk with them. You can feel how different people are and how they think in different ways, about the same topic. So that is the interesting part. And yes, and you can also see many. Oh, sorry.
Gosh, we prepared for the eventuality of a fire alarm. It seems that a fire alarm did go off.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and also you can see many cute and lovely animals here. I love the seagulls and the pigeons here. This so so cute and they are not scared of people. So maybe you can make friends with them and to take photos with them. Yeah.
100%. The seagulls are evil. All the other animals are lovely.
I must say, it's quite amusing. So you mentioned that you stopped eating meat doing philosophy. I was just lecturing our first year students in 1B last week, where I was telling them, by the time some of you are done studying philosophy, you will become vegan. And you'll look back on your life before doing philosophy. Well, okay, vegetarian.
I will say.
You'll
For you
look
to
back
be
on your
vegan,
life
you just
before
eat out of
philosophy,
meat.
and you'll wonder, how could I possibly have lived like that? I'm glad that you're proving that prediction. Cool.
Yeah.
So you already. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say it was the same for mine because I also went vegetarian and converted to like Buddhism in college when I started doing philosophy because I was like, this is just great. And then you get converted to like, I don't know, solipsism or like and a lot you just learn how to like critically respond to so you wouldn't even thought to think of in the first place. And
okay, so in summary, major skills acquired studying philosophy, you can convince other people to become vegan and win lots of arguments. Okay. Actually, so another thing, so you've talked a little bit about the kinds of like professional development support that we as a department have provided through the research methods course. Have any of you, out of curiosity, received any support sort of externally from the university? Have you tried to access the kinds of supports that the university provides, or we have career services service, for
No,
example?
but it's pretty easy to find. Like they send a lot of emails. There's events all the time. They have a lot of like resources for you to work with to find employment. I think one thing about the philosophy people, at least in our cohort, are kind of just in it for a love of the game. So philosophy is great. There's a lot of resources, but have I tried to find them? No.
yeah. You can sign up to like Target Connect, and especially if you have to work during your course. Is when I moved up here, that was a given. So if you sign up to those, they'll give you like a list of part-time jobs or university jobs in your area that can help ease the time that it takes to actually find one. Because I guess the longer it takes is the longer you need one.
Now, actually, a couple students sometimes ask what the volunteering opportunities are like at the University of Glasgow. So I had a master's student an offer holder contact me not too long ago asking if there were any opportunities to volunteer. And like I know that we have various services. So that we have the student. What is it? There's some yeah. Okay, actually, it's in the chat now. Have any of you tried engaged in any of these volunteering activities? Yeah.
I mean, they send out like if people need stuff for like promotional materials for the university, like you can volunteer to be a model for the photos and stuff like that. That's one that I get a lot.
Interesting.
Email or like for events of like the welcome parade or like Goose's, like the sports events that they have volunteers for those. It'll just send it through your student email. Yeah.
Okay. I see that we have another question in the chat. What support is there for students with a philosophy background wanting to get to grips with the psychology side of the philosophy of mind and psychology course? Anyone find that hard to adapt to? Yeah. Freya, did you want to say anything about that?
Adapting, like going from psychology to philosophy. I think the biggest thing is just it's a very different writing style. It's very different research style. There's a lot of overlap with content and probably subject matter. We'll pull a lot from psychology to do philosophy, and a lot of the time you have to have a basis of philosophy to reason in psychology. Like, if you're doing ethics in psychology, or trying to, but it is just, they're just two very different subjects. But there is enough overlap where it's not really that hard to adapt. You just get to know of like how to read things, whether they're based in psychology versus philosophy, and engage with them differently and probably critique them differently. But it's not an insane feat. I think that's what they mean.
Okay. Yeah, I guess yeah. I guess it should be said that, you know, if you're in the philosophy and psychology MSc program, it's us on the philosophy side who are sort of primarily responsible for, you know, for overseeing your program. So most of the support that you're going to get is sort of from us. I guess the question was, are there any sort of additional support that the psychology department provides on their side?
Yeah, the psychologists, they have support. So like your core professors, you would still be able to set up meetings with them and like explain things, and they have just different avenues for resources that they can send. It very much depends on which course in psychology you're in. It depends on how it's set up, but yeah, there's I think just philosophy is more cohesive with that, but there is the resources in psychology.
Okay, super. Another question. Oh, well, actually, this is a very good question. So, how is assessment done in courses? We're being asked. So, first of all, I guess we should talk about the different kinds of assessment that we have in the program. So, two of them so obviously essays are a major part of how students are assessed for their courses. We also have a dissertation, which is a major part of the assessment. It's 1/3 of the credits for the program as a whole. And for the Philosophy MSc program and the Philosophy and Psychology program, not the conversion program, for the straight MSc programs, oral presentations are also a very important component of evaluation. So every semester there is an oral presentation. Do you want to maybe speak to these? First of all, have I left something out that's important that you thought is worth mentioning? But do you want to maybe speak to those kinds of assessments? How did you prepare for them? How much of your time does it take up? And anything else that comes to mind? And how do you like these modes of assessment? Do you feel that you know they're appropriate to the kinds of to the courses and so forth?
Well, every time for me, I would arrange an office hour with the lectures and lecture, and then I'll write like an outline. I'll think about my outline, my essay, and then I go to the office hour to talk with them and to say how this topic goes. And then after that, maybe it would take me about less than a week or 3 days to finish an essay. Of course, it varies from person to person. But for me, it's about 3 days or a week for one essay. And maybe it took me longer to bear in mind about that question and think about it, maybe. But after that, after you submit your essay, after the deadline, there is about 2 weeks to get your feedback. And after you get your feedback, you can also talk with your lecturer about how to improve this idea, and you can reflect based on the feedback. That's how it goes for me.
And that would be for sort of what length of essay? Most of the essays that you write in the conversion program are about 2,500 words in length. Is that about right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably the same as Lydia, maybe like choosing a topic, doing a bunch of reading, and then bringing the outline to office hours. And then I would say about the same 3 days for a first draft, 3 more for a second. And then I will say if you take for the logic component, those are like
Right.
more traditional type exam and not an essay. So yeah, I'd say about maybe like
That's right, yeah,
2
so-
weeks for a 2,500 word essay.
That's right. I mean, so in fact, our logic exam, that's the only exam, if I'm not mistaken, that is still in person.
No, we did the Logic S exam online. It was like a 24-hour open.
Oh, I see. That's a new change.
Yeah.
That's a new change because I mean, so the university has moved to increasing. Okay, good. That's a new change then. Okay, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, they did it that way last year. I think was the first time they did it.
Okay.
Because that's the but yeah, for not conversion, for psychology and philosophy, we have it could be 1,500, 2,000, or 4,000 word essays, and obviously the presentations are different. So it's a presentation and then a 2,000 word essay based on the presentation. So it gives you like with the presentations, I had a meeting with one of our professors. It doesn't really, it's whoever you like, to go have a meeting with and talk through any ideas, any advice, and build in an outline, get your thoughts together, and like creating visuals to do it, and just a lot of rehearsing. And then the essays, it's pretty much the same. It's just obviously a longer essay is going to take you longer to do. And depending on some courses like to do different assessments. So some of them have done 500 word, like you need to summarize this theory in 500 words to like practice how concise you are in philosophy. Or critical reviews of a particular paper. So it can change, and that's usually a way for it's not so monotonous of like everything's an essay and not everything's going to be the same pick, and it's going to be different throughout of like you're going to have something a bit more exciting than just sitting reading. There's a bit of variety, and on the psychology side, again, it depends on the particular courses it's going to be running. Some of them are 24 hours. For like the MATLAB is 24 hours coding, or just an essay after like a particular number of weeks. And they could vary in length, or having a critical review of the literature.
Okay, super. So I think it's about time that we sort of wrapped up. So I think what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to go around the room once again. I'd like you to say two things. One is like, what for you was the highlight of your program this year? And second, what is one thing that you really wish that you knew before you started the program? If you were, just considering right now whether to accept the offer all over again, what is the one thing that you really wish that you knew? So why don't we start with Freya and then move on to Genevieve, Slode, and Lydia.
I think the highlight, probably the social aspect. Obviously, after 7 years, some philosophy can get a little boring regardless. So having that social aspect make it a bit more exciting. Second one, I wish I knew, keep hold of your references as you go along. Keep them noting, don't lose them, because there's a possibility you may never find them again.
That happens to me. I do a search and fill papers and I never find it again. Yeah, that does happen to me. Good advice.
I'd say for me, the highlight was the reading party. So every year, and I'm assuming next year as well, the postgrad department put together a trip up north to pick out a hostel and essentially have talks by PhD students and postgrad students, and also to just do some fun activities. That was really fun. Again, that's what Freya was saying with the social aspect, but there is a lot of work that goes into the way that the department encourages us to interact with each other. And something I wish I'd known before coming in, I would just say how different it is to read philosophy than it is to read other pieces of academia, because like we say, we're all from different backgrounds. And when I did my French and Spanish course here, it was so much more straightforward than philosophy, and I really enjoyed philosophy. But I mean, for French and Spanish, we were just going abroad every 5 minutes, so it's been a bit, honestly, it's been a big change for me. But it was a learning curve, and I'm glad I've done it.
I'd say the highlights for me was definitely just moving to a new country, honestly, was pretty substantial. I'm from the United States. I'm from Texas. So moving to Scotland was a really big change. I'm super grateful for. And then also I have two, because I have two. The faculty was really, really wonderful of getting to like feel like I can just drop in and talk about things that I'm interested in, or get help with things that might not be directly related to the subject matter, but I just like need help. It was really wonderful. I'm gonna have to second Genevieve, and that I wish that if I had to go back, I think I would have read a little bit of maybe some low, not logic, introductory philosophy, just figuring out like how to read it, how to structure it, and how to write, because I think the best method that I found to figure out how to write was to try and mimic some of the better writers of what we received. So like if I had like a Duncan Pritchard or an Adam Carter, like trying to mimic the structure, that helped. Again, let me reiterate, it's hard, but like it can be done. Like, yeah, maybe don't go read the Phenomenology of Spirit. Like, you don't need to do that. It'll be fine.
Yeah, don't read Kant. Don't scare yourself with Kant. Just ease yourself in.
Yeah, for me, the highlight must be the parties, including the reading parties and the Christmas party in our college. And you can talk to teachers, professors, and PhDs, your own classmates, alongside philosophy, like your Christmas plan, like go hiking together and drinking together. That is the most fun part for me. And the second thing I think is to learn more about how to engage with the presentation. I think, like, I've heard many interesting presentations, even like philosopher of penguins. Do you know the penguins? Like the nihilistic penguins going to the hill and without heading back. This kind of really interesting presentation I want to engage with. But back then I didn't know the story or how to engage with the people there, and the people are laughing and I didn't get the joke. Maybe maybe I should practice more about how to listen to English, because English is my second language.
Yeah, thank you all very much. I think we have one final question that I can answer, but then after that, I think it'll be time to wrap up. So, can I do a dissertation on philosophical theology as the thesis for MSc Philosophy of Mind and Psychology? Well, you certainly can write a dissertation on topics related to philosophy of religion. We have master's students who have written theses on this in the past. I mean, it would have to be on questions relating to sort of philosophy of religion. You would have to have a sort of a philosophical angle of attack on whatever it is that you want to talk about. But yes, in principle, this is totally kosher as a dissertation topic. Yeah, so I think that about covers it for me. So I guess I'd like to thank you all so much for taking the time to be here and talk about your experience with the PGT program. And I'd like to thank the people online for joining and taking the time to sort of listen to us chat about this stuff. And thank you all for your questions. Yeah.